Boom, we are live on Fantasy Football Hub. BigManBakar's is here, and as I said before the stream, we have the same microphone now, we have the same AirPods, and at this rate, we're going to have the same rank soon, Bakar.
How are you doing, John? I mean, congratulations on the Castan Hall. You had Castan this week. So you're edging closer to me because this
Mystic
was
Mac strikes again. What can I say? You know, I looked, I saw him, I thought, why is that guy in the box so much? Why is that guy so advanced? The eye test paid off, Bakar.
yeah, it has pissed off. But at the same time, I mean, I must also say that Wolves, they missed a lot of chances, and I say that as someone who's very bitter, as someone who did not
I
own
can see
Ward
that.
because a lot of people had Ward, and that really annoyed me. Especially when Wolves had an XG of like 2, you'd expect them to convert. I bought in a Crystal Palace defender last week, hoping that that the clean sheet against Wolves was sort of virtually guaranteed. It didn't happen. Now this week, I needed them to score at home, and they mess up an XG of 2+. So, just one of those things. I mean, can't really do much about that. But overall, it was an okay week for me. It was 45 points. I messed up the benching dilemma. I played Solanke ahead of Andres because I thought Solanke would be on penalties, and that went horribly horribly badly for me because that was a 9 point swing, and it was the difference between a green and a red arrow.
Yeah, I've got your team on the screen here. You said, like, again, like a lot of teams, blanks everywhere apart from Haaland, Mitrovic, and thankfully for me, Castagna was my one other, and it was a big other of 12 points. It made me, put me in the green, but just about. You said to me just before we streamed that you were incredibly close to captaining someone else.
Yeah, I was very close to captaining Salah. I mean, we had early team news on Saturday morning that Salah was playing as a striker against Forest, with no Nunes playing. So I was definitely tempted to move the armband to Salah. I didn't think there was much between Haaland and Salah. So I mean, I was thanking my lucky stars that I didn't move. I sort of wanted to move, but then I was like, Haaland is playing at home. He's been well rested. I mean, he's had a week's rest, so I didn't really move because he was playing at home as well. So I just one of those lucky decisions which went my way. But again, you can't have them all. Some swings go with you, some go against you. That's the nature of this beast.
Can you imagine we were sitting here this week with you with what would you have had, 34 points or something? But Carl, you would have been like a bull. You would have been very angry, wouldn't you?
I mean, what can I say? I have seen certain teams who have had a miserable share of luck this week, and this is just the nature of the game.
I'm looking over at your mini leagues there. This isn't something we do, and this does feel like I'm rubbing it in a little bit. But you're in the Hall of Fame 1K, top 1K finishers. You're in the Elite 64. You're actually only 30. You're 41st in the Elite 64, so you're not that bad. You know.
Yeah, I've done well reasonably in terms of I started very well. The first 8 game weeks were great. Then I bought Salah, and then it just sort
It
of
went wrong.
it went absolutely downhill from there. And I'm still struggling after captaining Salah over Haaland in game week 9. That was where it started to go wrong because I sold De Bruyne that week as well, and it's just been a downhill slide since then. And I'm hoping that I can arrest the slide and finish strongly in these last 3 weeks so that I can set myself up for the time once the World Cup resumes. I mean, I'm not panicking or anything. I still think that the situation is salvageable. I don't know. I'll try my best. I'll play safe. I don't want to take unnecessary risks, and that's going to be the mantra for the next 3 weeks.
I had 58 points per car. I've shown this on the stream already a couple of times this week because I'm obviously here for every stream, so I won't dwell on it in case people have seen the others, but just in case anyone only tunes in for the big man. 58 points, Castagna, Haaland and Mitrovic, my only returners. 24 points in the bench, semi-heartbreaking. And the thing that kind of made me, after the fact, feel a little bit more heartbroken was when I talked to Wes yesterday and I had a real look at it. I actually think if I'd have engaged brain for half a second and not just thought, oh yeah, Pope's my keeper, I probably would have played Ward based on the fixtures. If I actually had a thought about it, I'm confident I would have done it. I just didn't think about it. It was a very quick turnaround between the game weeks. I was at a wedding. We didn't even stream. I was like,
It it's easier to say in hindsight, to be very honest, John. I mean,
yeah.
I think it was a 51-49 decision. I don't think it was as clear cut because Newcastle have a very watertight defense. They, in fact, their XGC is actually only second to Man City this season. Before the Spurs game, it was so. I mean, I was expecting them to keep it tight versus Spurs, and I was expecting Wolves to score as well. Actually, Wolves had a better XG than Spurs when you put it that way. So I'm not really sure whether it was a terrible decision. Again, it was just one of those things. And in general, you'd back Pope to make more saves than Ward as well. So you have to factor that into account as well. I don't think it was a terrible decision like you're sort of making it out to be. That went well. Absolute true. Oh, a lot of people took hits to do that. It's just one of those things, man. Edison should have saved that shot. Foden got benched randomly. I mean, uh, City had like a week's rest. Foden had started 10 games on the trot. So, I mean, no one could have seen that coming.
My sound was off there, guys. I was coughing away with this COVID that I think I have, so people mightn't have heard me. I was mentioning about Foden and Trossard. Thanks for the heads up on the chat. I keep muting myself because I'm going to cough and I don't want people to hear that, but then it's hard to remember to do it. We were just talking about Foden, basically, and that actually is our first talking point, Bakar, so we'll go for that. You know, a lot of people took hits to bring him in. Foden was benched, as you said, completely unpredictable. They heard you say that, but I suppose we have to stick with him now because he's had his benching. You know, he's had his rotation.
You never know with Pep, but obviously the play now is to keep Foden. I have no qualms keeping him. I was scouring through the City fan forums as well, and Foden is in almost every single predicted lineup for the Leicester fixture. So I do think he's going to start, and if he's going to start, then hopefully comes good and sort of repays the faith that a lot of us showed him by buying him last week.
Yeah, no, I think he's a must keep and play. It isn't on our top list of topics. With four other topics here we're going to discuss before we do quickfire questions and a team reveal. But Haaland, just Haaland in general. You know, he had the yellow flag with a video come out this morning of him limping. I'm going to answer this question for everyone in the audience, Bakar, and I want you to either agree or disagree. Okay, I'm going to be very self-righteous about this. I think I know the answer, and I'm just going to say it like it is. You keep Haaland, you captain Haaland, and that's it. Why is everyone being an idiot, Bakar? He's injured or he's not, right? If he's injured, okay, you're not going to want to lose the value in him. With 2 or 3 games left, he's probably going to be back before the World Cup. And even if he isn't, you're going to want him in January. You're going to want him. And he'll be fit because he's not at the World Cup. Or you're going to want him in Boxing Day, whatever, right? So listen. You're going to want Haaland. You've too much value built up, right? So getting rid of Haaland for me is stupid. So you captain him and you play him because if he doesn't play, it goes to your vice. You have a good vice and you have a nice wee first bench option in Andreas or whoever. Wonderful. If he does play, you've got Haaland captain. If he plays 45 minutes, I'll take it.
I think the only position where I'd consider selling him if he was ruled out for 3 matches, because
Yeah,
um,
okay.
because City have Fulham at home, Brentford at home after this fixture. So even if he's missing this fixture, you'd want him back for 15 and 16, and he's definitely going to be the standout captain in those weeks. Now this is a week where a lot of us have Andres on the bench. He's a perfectly playable option. There's a lot of us have Gahey or Anderson or the likes of a Crystal Palace defender who have a decent fixture this week and they're playable against Southampton. So if you have Haaland, I do think that he can easily be benched even if he's missing the week. That's not a problem. You bench him, you play Andres, you captain someone else. Uh, However, if he's out for 3 weeks, I think there are a few options that you could actually jump to and take advantage of rather than go for the value argument, because I do think his value will drop significantly in the next 3 weeks if he is out for, let's say, a month or so. So I don't really buy that value argument in that case. In that case, there are a few players to look at. There's Kane, who's had excellent stats this season. He has Bournemouth and Leeds in 2 of the next 3, even Liverpool. at home next week isn't a bad fixture. There's Darwin to look at, who has Leeds at home this week. So I mean, those are some players I'd look at in case Haaland is ruled out, but I don't think he's going to be out for 3 weeks.
Well, yeah. So okay, if he's confirmed out for 3 weeks, there's a discussion. I just don't see that happening. And I think if it's 1 or 2 weeks, I'm keeping him. Even if it's 3, I don't know. I might find it hard to get rid of, but I can see why like Haaland to Kane, and then that frees up the extra slot. Maybe Salah to De Bruyne then, or something like that would be nice. Or maybe Julian Alvarez is a wee 3 week differential. Who knows?
Julian Alvarez isn't a bad shout. Yeah, especially considering the City fixtures, he could be an excellent shout. You were speaking about Salah. I have no plans to sell him this week. I mean, again, uh, I'm sat here advocating Salah, who's been sort of the reason behind my downfall in rank in the previous few weeks. But I still think he's going to come good. I mean,
I've heard this too many times. Too many times,
surely.
Makar.
Uh, I watched the game last night, and I think that Klopp has sort of made his mind up now that Liverpool are going to play a 4-3-1-2. And Salah was central with Nunes. I don't see that changing. It was a very narrow 4-3-1-2 where Salah and Nunes were playing very close to each other. So I do think that formation is there to stay. And Salah looked good again, 1 goal and assist as well last night. So at Leeds, I think he's a very good option to captain. I just don't see Leeds being that side who can keep Liverpool out for that long, especially at Anfield. If Haaland is out this week, Salah's likely to be my captain.
So
And
Salah,
I definitely think there are better transfers to make than to sell Salah, because the counter argument, John, to selling Salah is that you're probably going to sell him for a cheaper player, let's say for someone like a Saka, and then use the funds to upgrade elsewhere, right? I don't necessarily think this is the right time to do that. Even if you ignore Liverpool's fixtures, they have Leeds this week, which is a great fixture. Even if you ignore that, I just don't think we have enough transfers right now to take hits and spend the money in different areas, because we just have what 3 weeks remaining now, 3 game weeks remaining. The chances of hits paying off are less and less with each passing week. I'm not really sure whether it's worth, just taking hits to sell very good options like Salah, who can easily come good.
no, I hear you, because that's, two of the points you want to bring up were what to do with Salah, and is taking hits this week worth it? And it is almost like that. The clock is counting down, where it's interesting that you say, for people who maybe play more casually, that there's less time for those hits to pay off. If you're taking a -4, you're
Exactly.
basically banking that the guy you bring in scores 4 more points than the guy you've got rid of.
Precisely. And I just don't think you're playing against the odds, basically.
Okay, so Salah for you is a keep. For me, I'll get on to it whenever we get to like the transfer section for this week. My plan is with Salah. I'll save that one for you. What to do with Bowen? Very frustrating. Came off. Alluded the fact he mightn't be on penalties anymore. Penalty a few minutes after he came off the pitch. Blah 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 blah. What are people doing with Bowen? Bowen's a trap. I said it. I said it weeks ago.
Last week when we were discussing this, I was of the firm opinion that you should hold on to Bowen, considering the fact that has 3 home games in the next 4, and even when you look at his fixtures right now, he's Crystal Palace at home and Leicester at home in 2 of the next 3. I don't think he's a hard sell, but if you can afford to sell him, I think you can sell him now, because he's not going to be on penalties, and I think that is massive. One of the big reasons why I was a huge fan of him was because of the fact that he had penalties. In the post-match press conference after the Bournemouth games, he did confirm that he won't be on penalties anymore, and I think that should be enough of a reason for you to get rid. If you're looking to get rid of him, this is the week to do so before he plays Man United away. Man United this season, I mean, over the last 5 or 6 weeks, their XGC has been very, very impressive. They're not conceding a lot of chances from open play, so I don't think this is an easy fixture for West Ham. This is possibly a week where I'd possibly look at moving Bowen on for Saka if I did not have any other pressing transfer to make.
And lastly, I want to ask you about Solanke, who let you down this week.
He's been an absolute hero for me in the past few weeks. So I mean, I was expecting a bit of regression, to be very honest with you, because he was overperforming and now he got injured. Again, he's so cheap that I'm not really sure whether there are better alternatives in that price range. I mean, there's the Crystal Palace strikers, but are they reliable? I'm not so sure. If I had Solanke, I'd probably look to utilize my bench this week rather than sell him straight away. Because if he's back for the next two fixtures, then those two fixtures aren't that bad. In game week 15 and 16, where Bournemouth are scheduled to face Leeds and Everton. That's the way I look at it. I don't really see an option in his price bracket where you can sort of sell him this week immediately. I just think you can probably afford to utilize your bench.
I am just looking there. There is a no, there's not a chance. Ignore I said anything. Brilliant hosting, John. Bakar, is there any other points you want to discuss before we go on to some quickfire questions?
I think we've covered most of the popular questions this week.
Yeah. But there will be other questions that aren't so popular, Bakar. And do you know what the next segment is for that very reason? Quickfire questions. Wha-pa-pa! We're going to answer as many of your questions as we can. Well, Bakar is, and I'm going to pepper him with them for 5 whole minutes. All your dilemmas, your yes or no's, your A or B's, your Sakas or De Bruyne's. I don't know why you'd have that. The Sakas or Bowens, the Sakas or Fodens. Don't ask the same questions all day, but hit us with all those questions now. Get them loading up, and let's see if Bakar can break his own record. 53 the record, Bakar. Can you beat it today? I don't know. I don't think you can. You're not as ruthless with your answering anymore. There's too much context going on.
You're yellow flagged with COVID as well. So I mean, if I don't perform well, I'm just gonna blame it on you.
I'm not assisting you well enough. Yeah, I tell you what.
I need the service. I need the service to score goals.
All right, Haaland.
Goals if you assist me.
Today you're Haaland. I'm De Bruyne. We're gonna absolutely smash it. Now, Bakar, I'm gonna throw a little bit of a spanner in the works too, and I didn't brief you on this. I want you to predict what you're gonna score, and you can't play a fool with me. You can't act like a maggot, basically. Predict what you're gonna score. Are you gonna break your record or are you not? Like, what number? Give me a number.
45.
You think you're going to get to 4? That's not confident, man. Come on, you can beat 53. 60 is a question every 5 seconds.
I have to add a bit of context in answering my questions as well, which is why, I mean, I have to take that into account as well.
Okay, so 45.
Yeah.
If it is bang on 45, you're not allowed to count. Okay?
Okay, of course I won't.
If it's bang on 45, we'll give away a hub membership to someone in the audience. Done. How does that sound?
Perfect.
A little bit of a lottery moment. Whoo. So get your questions in, because if the questions dry up, Bakar won't set records and we won't be giving away anything. So yes or no, A or B style questions. This one doesn't count, but rice or potatoes, Bakar? I feel like we're going to differ on this based off where we're from.
I love rice.
I love potatoes, you piece of shit.
I love potatoes as well, to be fair, but I just can't compromise on rice.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Playing into our stereotypes of where we're from. I like that question. All right, so, Bakar, I don't know, are you ready for this jelly?
Sure.
Okay. Keep the questions coming, gang, because I need to keep this motor mouth going. I need to give service to the big man for him to tap them in. Any of your dilemmas for this week, Bakar is going to answer. Let's go. Hold or sell, Tony?
Hold.
Bowen to Rashford.
Good move.
Have you got a degree, Bakar?
Yes. Chartered accountancy.
It?
Management accountancy, and I'm a chartered accountancy finalist.
Mount to Almiron or Son?
Risky move, but I'd probably back Son.
Mount and Jesus to Almiron and Kane for -4.
I won't sell Jesus.
You won't sell Jesus, okay. Thoughts on Doherty starting this game week?
I expect him to start.
Would you bench Perisic?
I won't bench him, no.
Gordon to Almiron or Rashford?
I prefer Rashford for the fixtures.
Bamford or DCL?
Probably Calvert-Lewin with his fixtures.
Is Rashford a good 3-week punt?
Yes.
Mount and Cucurella out to Nico Williams and Salah for a -4.
I'm not exactly sure whether it's worth taking a hit again, but again, Mount out for Salah just feels like a bit of an upgrade.
Keep or sell VVD?
I would keep him with the fixtures.
I'll answer this one. Switch Firmino to who next week? Ask us next week. There's a question answered. Trossard to Martinelli.
Yes, I like that move.
If Haaland's out, would you sell for Kane for a 1 week punt?
No, I won't.
Doherty starting this game week.
Yes, I
You
think
talked
it's
about the
gonna
service.
start.
Shit. Mitrovic
Yeah.
out for Jesus or DCL?
I don't think this is the week to sell Mitrovic. I'd hold him this week for the Everton game at home.
Xhaka, Saka, Skamaka, Daka, or Wan-Bissaka?
Wan-Bissaka.
Oh, there we go. Captain Haaland, Salah, or Foden?
Haaland if he's fit.
Okay. Should I switch to Firmino?
If you have Firmino, then I don't think he's worth selling. If he's gonna start, then there's no way he's gonna. You should sell before Leeds. But wait for news tomorrow. Wait for the predicted lineups. I'm not entirely sure whether Firmino's gonna start, but he did not play in the Champions League in midweek, which is probably a good sign.
Koulibaly to Gabriel or Perisic?
I'm not 100% sure that Perisic is gonna start this week, so Gabriel.
You're behind your projected score. Firmino to Kane?
As I said, I don't think I would sell Firmino if I had him this week.
Mount or Saka?
Saka.
Dyer to White or Roll?
I would roll.
Wilson or DCL?
Wilson.
White or Perisic?
White.
Would you sell Kane? No. Fucking captain. Gerrard or Lampard is your manager.
Lampard.
Who's going to win the World Cup?
Brazil.
Gordon or Almiron?
Almiron.
Almiron or Rashford?
Probably Rashford.
Anderson or Perisic? Who do you bench?
Anderson.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
DCL or Jesus?
Jesus.
Best Liverpool asset?
Probably Nunes.
Start Guehi or Andreas?
Andreas.
Sell or bench Martial?
Sell.
Jesus or Darwin?
Darwin.
Captain Foden?
Decent differential, but I won't move away from Haaland if he's fit.
Awobi or DCL?
DCL.
Salah or Kane?
Salah.
Coley or De Villiers?
Kohli.
Mitrovic or Solanke?
Mitrovic.
Saka or Zaha?
Saka.
Trossard or Martinelli?
Martinelli.
Martinelli or Saka?
Saka.
Salah or De Bruyne?
Salah.
I made that one up. VVD or Dalot? Who starts?
Van Dijk.
Sell or bench Martial? Might have asked that already.
Yeah, sell.
Sell. Patterson back this week.
I haven't read up news on that one.
Dunk out for Gabriel.
I would keep Dunk. Next two fixtures are good.
Okay,
15 and 16.
You weren't wrong about the service, Bakar. I tell you what, see trying to send those questions your way and not be repetitive. My goodness gracious me.
It's a tough job. I can understand. It's a very tough job. It's almost if you're being handicapped and man marked.
That's it, yeah. I have the hard job here, not you. So
completely agree. Completely agree.
You know, you picked up pace towards the end. You know, it started off slow. There was a lot of context around one of the questions. But do you want to give you your grand total? So 45 wins a membership for someone, 53 the record. You got 5, 10, 15,
I think probably between 45 and 50. 48, 49, something like that.
20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 46, 47, 48.
Yeah.
You weren't far off the record.
Yeah, I guess it must have been close because you're right. It was slow at the start, but then I really upped the ante, and so did you at the right at the death. Yeah,
I was even making up questions just to keep us moving. Right, team reveal time, Bakar. What are we at for next week? And then we'll say goodbye to these beautiful people. But Bakar, before we do that, before we reveal your team and plans for the upcoming week,
Please like the video, guys.
you got in ahead of me, Bakar, but you know I do it in a different way. Let's go and call these mother effers out.
Let's go.
See. Bakar, 534 people watching. How many people have liked the video?
Less than 100?
Less than 100. Less than... You're a
sad.
mathematician. An accountant. Less than 20% of people like that beautiful smile, Bakar. Is that going to make you cry tonight?
Thank you.
How does that affect your insecurities? Because it hurts me.
I hope people are more generous in their compliments.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we're just out here trying. But anyway.
I hope they're as generous as you are.
Well, look, guys, drop a wee like while you're here and subscribe. We're here every week. Me and Bakar, me and Wes, me and Abdul, me and who else do we do with the Green Arrow podcast, different bits and bobs. Raptor was on recently. Keep it coming, gang. All right. No one won the membership, Dal, because Bakar didn't hit 45 on the nut. It was on the nut. All right. Let's go, Bakar. Let's go and look at our teams. Let's go and see what the plan is. I'll do mine first because people care more about yours. Let's see. So I've got 58 points. And if we pop this into the My Team tool on Fantasy Football Hub, I would probably play Guehi over Castagna. Castagna obviously up against Man City, tough game. My plan, as it stands, is just to roll. Leave the captaincy in Haaland, hope he plays. If he doesn't, the vice goes to Salah. Andreas comes off the bench. That's kind of it. I'm going to roll because I think I have a transfer in $1 million. I'm going to roll. And then next week, my plan could potentially be Salah out for whoever. And probably Mitrovic up to Kane is, I think, what I'll be doing.
Yeah.
Maybe
Mitrovic,
not, though. A lot can happen. But
Mitrovic needs addressing next week. I think he has City and United in 15 and 16. That's a bit of a problem.
So like, I'm going to roll. I'm rolling because I just don't think there's any upside. Now, Haaland out for 3 week news, I still would be really hesitant to get rid of him, but I can start to see then the case for Haaland to Kane, and that frees up another Man City slot where potentially, I wouldn't do it this week for the hit, but like Salah could be going to Kevin De Bruyne next week or something. I don't know. I'm buying time, $1 million in the bank, roll the transfer, 67 predicted points. Would it take it now? Get out of here. No, we're going for 70.
67 is a very reasonable score, John. Come on.
Get out of town. No. Too many of these guys have been blanking. Too many. It's time for them to bang all at once. So I'm saying no. Bakar, your team's on the screen. I have it loaded up. I don't know. I'm pretty sure this is who you'd be starting. I haven't looked too much. What's your bench? Tell me your bench.
Yeah, it's 3-5-2 at the moment, my team. And on the bench, I have Gehi, Solanke, and Williams. I'm starting Andres and Perisic over Gehi at this point in time.
Okay. So I've got your team loaded up there. So we've got Pope and Trippier, Cancelo, Perisic, Zaha, Foden, Salah, Martinelli, Andreas, Haaland, and Mitrovic.
Yeah, that's it. Haaland captain if he's fit. If he's not fit, then Gehi comes in for Haaland, and my captain will be Salah. I'm tempted to make a transfer. There are a few options that I have in mind. There's Zaha to Saka that I'm considering. Obviously, this week the Moneyball fixture is the Arsenal at home fixture to Nottingham Forest. That's the one which I would target if I was making a transfer this week. So I can get to Saka for Zaha. But the slight problem there is that after this week, Arsenal have Chelsea away and Wolves away. And I'm not really sure their Hall fixtures for Arsenal. So Zaha next week has West Ham away and Nottingham Forest away. This week has Southampton home. So it's not really a transfer which I'm 100% sure will get me a lot of points because Zaha has Southampton at home this week as well. The other transfer I'm considering is potentially selling one of my defenders, probably Gehi for Gabriel. I think that clean sheet should be more or less secure against Nottingham Forest, and Gabriel does have some goal threat, and he's very good for bonus as well. So these are the two transfers I'm considering. I'll see, depending on press conference tomorrow, what happens, because I'm not entirely sure whether Perisic is going to start. I was checking the forums, and then the fans seem fairly split on their opinion regarding whether or not he's going to start. So a lot of that is going to depend on him. A lot of it is going to depend on what Pep says regarding Haaland. Um, so these are basically my thought processes of as of right now. I think I'm going to be benching Solanke. Even if he was fit, I was probably going to bench him at home to Spurs this week. So I'm not too perturbed by his injury this week.
So you've got 65.6 predicted points. If I offered you 66 points right now, would you take it?
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable score.
You'd take it? Okay.
Yeah.
That's an 89% game week rating. If you want to head over to Fantasy Football Hub, plug your team in, see your predicted points, use the link in the description, and if you pay and get 30% off your membership, with that link you get 30% off, you're able to do this wee thing where we scroll ahead to the next game week and have a look. Now the game week rating is a wee bit off at the minute, but I just noticed next week you're going to have a bit of trouble, because, well, in my opinion, you're going to have a bit of trouble because you have Perisic against Liverpool, Andreas and Mitrovic against City, Chelsea for Arsenal, Salah's up against Spurs, and even Zaha has West Ham. A lot of tough fixtures.
I assume a lot of managers will be in a similar position. I mean, I'm not exactly too concerned about it because these players that you mentioned are all highly owned players, and we have two transfers to deal with them, not just this week but next week as well. So I'm hoping I can find something with a free transfer, two free transfers at my disposal. I don't think it will be too much of a problem.
Okay, and let me see what my game week 15 looks like, and then we'll wrap up. I think I look okay. I don't look as good as I thought. I look all right. Let me see. Castagna would come in probably for Mitrovic. I don't even know. Yeah, I have two free transfers going into that week, so we'll solve it. Maybe Salah will be someone else, and maybe Mitrovic could be Kane. Let me see. I actually want to do that. Switch you out, bring Kane in, switch you out, and bring in. Let me see here. I'm not going to do this now because it's going to take too long. This is for next week. This is a teaser at what people can expect next week. Anyway, Bakar, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for being here, guys. Thank you. There's over 600 of you here now. Drop a wee like on your way out. Do us a big favour. You can find us both on socials. I'm at John Nellis down there. Bakar's at BigManBakar over there. I always think it's funnier when I do it with my head, not my hands. Bakar, anything to say before we leave?
Thanks for having me, man. Pleasure. Good luck for the week.
Thank you. Yeah, good luck to you too. I hope to see two big fat greens here next week.
That's about time, I think.
It is. We're due one. All right.